is Mr. Richard Okunla, a chartered accountant himself, a member of the Institute. So I'll just read a brief profile, just try to summarize so that I can delve into the business of the day proper. I'll read a short and abridged profile for Mr. Richard Okunla. So Richard Okunla is an alumnus of both Babcock University and Moshood Abiola Polytechnic. His academic journey is complemented by professional accomplishments. He's an associate member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, Chartered Institute of Taxation, and a CFA investment certificate holder. With his wealth of experience, he has established himself as a seasoned advisor in the area of financial accounting, tax consultancy, and research analysis. His expertise is evident in his leadership of numerous client services covering intricate areas such as business tax, transaction tax, tax dispute resolution, tax strategy, financial reporting, bookkeeping, and global compliance engagement. He has received so many accolades, which is evidence as evidence of leadership proficiency. Few of them are during his work at KPMG. He got series of standout talent awards, demonstrating his commitment to excellence. His contributions have also been recognized by esteemed professional bodies, including Ican, CIT, and district societies. In 2022, he was recognized as the Q3 Young Professional of the Year in Nigeria by Young Professionals and Emerging Leaders Forum, and recently received the prestigious Most Ambitious Professional of the Year 2023 award from the Iconic Brand Award. He is actively involved in the professional community, a regular paper presenter at district societies of both Ican and CITN. He frequently shares his insights as speaker at university conferences and academic gatherings. He's the co-founder of Mentorship Corner International and has played a pivotal role in guiding and training over 200 accountants across 10 countries, nurturing their professional growth. Richard is happily married to his beautiful wife, who is also a chartered accountant. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished colleagues, can we welcome Mr. Richard Okunla, ACA, to deliver the technical session for November. As Mr. Richard, kindly confirm you are in the house, sir. Okay.
I'm in the house. Thank you very much.
And please confirm you can now share your screen before I hand over the session to you. For the next 45 minutes, we'll be hearing from Mr. Okunla, and afterwards we'll have time for questions and answers after the 45 minutes. Mr. Okunla, you have the floor, sir.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Shegun and the team at the Ican, Lukweju, and Bagada District Society. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today, and I recognize all my leaders. I can see a lot of people from the FIRS and from many other team members, right? I recognize everybody, all right, and I'll just quickly go straight to the point so that I can maximize the time slot given to me. So today we'll be looking at navigating the terrain of tax pro max and insight for professional accountants, right? And the main purpose of, or let me say, the reason why I think this topic was chosen is because many of the accountants nowadays, we've all grown, and due to the fact that tax pro max is like a new technology that was deployed by the FIRS, not everybody is very familiar with the tax pro max terrain. So this training is majorly to just walk us through on some of the modules available on tax pro max. What are the features available? What can you do? How do you go about getting some things done on tax pro max, right? And without wasting much time, I'll just go to the next slide that talks about the objectives. So please just confirm you can see my screen. Somebody can confirm that.
Yes.
Yes.
It can.
All right.
Yes,
thank
it can.
you. Yes. Okay, yes. Okay, thank you. So objective of the training. And so this technical session is basically by the end of this session, participants will be able to navigate the diverse modules and features on Tax Pro Max, right? You'll be able to gain insight into using some of the Tax Pro Max features in filing your tax returns, generating payment reference numbers, making payments, and downloading relevant information. Also, by the end of this training, participants will understand some of the recent developments introduced to Tax Pro Max, that is recent updates from the FIRS. And finally, you also be able to understand the interconnectedness of Tax Pro Max with the old e-service portal, right? So quickly, the table of content, things we'll be covering includes introduction, features available on Tax Pro Max, how to file VAT returns. So I've just done this material such that we can share it subsequently, and anybody that wants to do something on Tax Pro Max can actually follow it through to get it done, right? So how to file VAT on VAT returns, how to file your withholding tax returns, how to file withholding VAT, stamp duty, CGT, and the likes, right? How to file your CIT returns, and also how to download payment receipts, generate DIN and the like. Then finally, how to generate your tax clearance certificate. So let's dive. I would have asked for other people's expectations, right? Maybe I can pick one person or two other persons, but I think I've already covered what I'm going to be like the scope of this discussion already. So maybe as time goes by, I can just ask some questions that we can follow through. Yeah, so Tax Pro Max. So when the word Tax Pro Max comes to mind, I'm sure many of us are Nigerians on the call. So by now everybody as an accountant should be familiar with what Tax Pro Max is. So, but just for the purpose of re-emphasizing, or let me say reiterating what we have already known, Tax Pro Max is an electronic tax administration platform, right, that was introduced by the Federal Inland Revenue Service, that is the apex revenue agency body in Nigeria. So that is Federal Revenue Service. And it was introduced in 2021, right, solely to harmonize the tax administration, to make it more seamless, and then to reduce the duplicacy of efforts that is around tax collection, right? You see different people rushing. So let me just give you a background to it. So prior to now, for example, VAT returns, when you want to file VAT returns, you have to go to the tax office. So I recall then when I was working with one of the big four, I will have to go to Ikoyi, sometimes I'll go to this, there's one at Antony area, I think in Lukweju side. So I'll, imagine having to go to those different offices to meet up the deadline of the same day. At the end of the day, you end up getting to the FRS office around 4 p.m., 5 p.m. They say, we've closed for the day, come back on Monday. And Monday is already penalty and deadline is already applicable, even though it's not like a more serious that it is now. But what I'm saying in essence is that the Tax Pro Max has just come to create a kind of solution to that running a task that we used to have, right? And also it has come to streamline so many things just to help us run as a country, and also with the tax administration itself, that is the FIRS, to also make the revenue collection process even seamless, and they can also enjoy real-time monitoring of the tax activities. So let me quickly run through. Tax Pro Max is enabled with so many features, and like I said, it was introduced in June 2021. So you will likely see that some people that have backlog of unpaid taxes prior to June, you'll notice that you can't do proceed to pay or something like that, right? You have to, it will be showing visit office to clear payment or something like that, right? So because Tax Pro Max was actually, it actually became effective that June 2021. And then, so tax returns that were filed from that period onwards, you will likely see their returns on Tax Pro Max. Periods earlier than June 2021, you might, maybe for CIT returns that was manually inputted there, you might see them. But periods after June 2021, you should be able to see all your accounting and tax records on Tax Pro Max. So moving on quickly. Key benefits on Tax Pro Max, right? So I just want to highlight the benefit before we now move to the features. So some of the key benefits, like I mentioned, so we have e-filing, right? Taxpayers are able to file their various tax returns on periodic basis on Tax Pro Max without having to leave their office. So I've seen instances where the tax return is due on a Friday, and the CEO is not available to sign off and say go and make payments, right? But now that Tax Pro Max is there, it's just a matter of just clicking some buttons and then you make payments, you file your returns, and then you are good to go. So e-filing has made everything very seamless, and that is part of the benefit of Tax Pro Max. Now, next thing we have is e-payments. So there is no longer issue of saying I have to go and pay in the bank, right? After you have filled your form 002, prior to now, VAT form 002, for example, you have to go to the bank or transfer, make payments, then clear the payment and all those things, right? Now, everything can be done within the confine of that Tax Pro Max portal. Filing your CIT returns, VAT, withholding taxes, any kind of returns, as long as the module has been enabled on Tax Pro Max, you can file them on your Tax Pro Max portal. So, and this can be done through 3 payment gateway. We have the remitter, we have the InterSwitch, and we have the e-transact, which is all integrated into this Tax Pro Max system to enable tax remittance. Right. So we also have tax accounting. Taxpayers have unrestricted access to view tax records. So this is one of the benefits that I also love about the Tax Pro Max portal, right? You can go and as far back as the tax return has been filed and get historical information regarding your tax returns. So prior to now, if you have misplaced your tax files, let's say you have misplaced your form 002, you have misplaced your CIT form or your withholding tax schedules, right? You might need to just look for a way to get it, maybe from the FIRS office, going there to take photocopy and the likes. But now you have all the records available on Tax Pro Max, even during tax audit and investigations or desk review. The FIRS do not need to go and start looking for all your files up and down. From their own backend to it makes it more seamless from an administrative perspective. They just go to your Tax Pro Max, spool what you have filed, and then they send you their letter of desk review or tax audit, right? So moving on very fast. Okay, so we also have e-tax invoices. Please, can you hear me?
Very well. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Right.
Yes,
we can tell you very well.
Yes,
all right, thank you. I just want to confirm that. All right, so we have e-tax invoices. These are like prior to now. So I recall having a client based outside Nigeria, and they will be like, how will you just estimate tax and say we should go and pay to a FIRS account? Is there no kind of tax invoice or something? So right now we now have what we call the e-tax invoice, which is popularly known as payment reference number or document identification number. So now through the Tax Pro Max portal, you can generate the e-tax invoice, send to your clients and tell them, okay, this is the amount you're going to pay. This is the kind of, the payment reference number is like the invoice number. So tell them, go and make payment to the bank, they'll process it and send back to you. So we can now do e-tax invoices. And you can also verify these invoices using the either the Tax Pro Max portal or the former e-service portal, right? Moving on, we also have another key benefit, which is electronic tax clearance certificate, right? So now you can generate your TCC seamlessly on Tax Pro Max as long as you don't have any outstanding tax liabilities. You can easily approach. So when we get to this stage, I will just walk us through on how to go about that, right? Moving on, Tax Pro Max dashboard, right? So this is when you log into your Tax Pro Max, this is what a typical dashboard looks like on Tax Pro Max. You have the taxes due, concluded assessment, tax wallets, you have ledger balances, you have the additional assessment, we have taxpayer. So you have all this information on your dashboard, and you wonder, what am I going to do on this thing? Right? For somebody that is not familiar with using Tax Pro Max, you can easily get lost, especially because even this other module, that this other side, right-hand side and left-hand side I'm showing right now, there are still other drop-downs that are available on these icons too. So, but this is like a summary of what the dashboard looks like. Now I'm going to explain some of these modules and what they do before we now go to the technical aspect of how to operate them. So features available on Tax Pro Max, taxes due. So I'm picking them one after the other now, and I'll just quickly discuss them. Right, so we have taxes due. So this module, like I put here, it's basically helps you to highlight the taxes that are due at the moment. So, for example, if I go back up here now, you can see taxes due here. If I open this, assuming I'm on the live portal, so I don't want to use the live portal because, of course, there might be some confidential information on the particular login I'm using. So in this case, I'm just going to be using a kind of snippet I've already extracted from Tax Pro Max. So if you click on taxes due, for example, to show you the list of taxes that are due for that period. Let's take, for example, you can have VAT due, you can have CIT due, right? And even if it's capital gains tax, you can have capital gains tax due. As soon as you have already disposed the asset, you see your CGT due on that place. So these taxes do just help you to like have an idea of what are the taxes that are due next. So don't forget, some taxes might not be there, such as withholding tax, right? Because it is more of transaction based. So your withholding tax is expected to be filed under another module. But for the purpose of this session, taxes deal with like where you have all your outstanding taxes to be, or outstanding returns to be filed. It will be pending there for you to file. So we also have what we call the concluded assessment. The concluded assessment modules help you to see all the returns that have been filed over a period of time. So it shows all the returns that have been filed. And for you to access it, once you have clicked on the concluded assessment, you see a list of drop down of items under the concluded assessment. And then you click on action. The action links helps you to open that particular returns. And then you can save Control S or Control P, right, to save it as a PDF. Then you can have that particular returns with you. And we also have the ledger balances. The ledger balances displays various ledger balances, such as withholding tax, VAT, CIT, CGT, and what have you. So it just shows you what are the total balances in your account, right? Payments that you have made, credit that you have. So it's just like an accounting entries, right? Just for tax purpose. Then we have the group taxes. This module on group taxes discusses item. It helps you to make tax remittances under withholding tax. We have withholding VAT, we have payee, we have stamp duties, and recently we have had the foreign payment option, or also included under these group taxes. As time goes by, we'll discuss when we are talking about the technical aspect. So quickly, other features available includes tax wallet, right? This feature showcases a comprehensive overview of all the tax payment, of course. So this is a recent one that was introduced about 2 months ago. And this is just like a way you make payments, right? Based on, let's say you have a audit, for example, now, you can make those payments in installment. So this tax wallet warehouses those payments you make in installment. Now, we also have the taxpayer details. This module for taxpayer details shows information of the taxpayer's office address, the person, the responsible party from the taxpayer's perspective, the directors of the company. It also shows tax office details. So for example, I have a client that I was unable to, I think we made a payment and the payment was not showing on Tax Pro Max, and we have evidence of payment. So I just went to this taxpayers details module. Once you click on it, it will show you the name of the tax office. Okay, it says MSTU. Okay. So after MSTU, what is next? It shows you the tax admin. Tax admin means that the scheduled officer in charge of that. Although this might change, right? Sometimes it might not be 100% correct because employees are always moving due to mobility. So they can change the person on your engagement, but then the person that is responsible. Okay, somebody is trying to gain control. 1 minute. All right, please confirm you can still see my screen. Somebody is trying to log in, showing that you accept.
Please don't accept.
Oh, okay, all right, thank you. So we have taxpayer details. This module displays the taxpayer's details, office address, like I mentioned, and so schedule officer name. That one is very important. You can see the person that is handling your tax files by logging into that taxpayer details, and you can also see the phone number of the person. So, like I've said, this is one of the best features I've actually loved on Tax Pro Max, because I remember there was a time, I think it was a filing deadline. We've made payments, we've done everything, but it was not showing on Tax Pro Max. I just called the person, and FRS guys are very fantastic these days. So the person just responded, "Oh, don't worry, I will help you to check it." And within minutes, it was cleared. So what this simply means is that you don't need to even go to the tax office to get some things done. So we have the credit report, which shows you different credits available, from your withholding tax credit to value-added tax credit to capital allowances available, and then unutilized losses. You can see all these which are available to you as a credit at a glance on Tax Pro Max. Also, we have the asset manager. So this asset manager is where the kind of what we call the fixed asset movement schedule, right, in accounting. But for tax purpose, this is like we call it the PPE schedule, or we call it asset manager. Now, this shows the historical cost of your asset, the tax sustainable value of the asset, the accumulated depreciation charge on the asset so far, and then purchase date and disposal register. So moving on to the next one, how to file VAT on Tax Pro Max. How to file VAT on Tax Pro Max. So I'm done with the features now. Just quickly going to how to file, how to operate some of the modules. So to file your VAT on Tax Pro Max, first step is to log into Tax Pro Max. So the website for Tax Pro Max is taxpromax.firs.gov.ng. So you can see it somewhere here, right? If you can see my mouse moving, yeah, somewhere around this top here. So once you have logged into the website, next thing is to go to login, right? Once you click on login, it opens this dashboard for you. Now, on this dashboard, you click on taxes due. Don't forget, for VAT, it will always be under this taxes due. And if you have filed for that month already, you will likely not see the options there again, right? So it will disappear. Once you have filed and you have paid, it will disappear. So once you click on taxes due, it brings something like this to you. Now, this shows that there are 2 tax returns that are due for filing for this person. So what you should do is to click on process, right? Click on process. Like I said, these slides will be available for everybody after the call. Click on process, and once you click on process, it takes you to a page like this. Now, this page tells you this. So before now, we used to have what we call the VAT form 002 that details different things: your total sales, purchases, input VAT, output VAT, sales adjustment, VAT at source, and all those things, right? So the same thing has been modeled on this Tax Pro Max. So once you click on the sales schedule, so for this training, I didn't want to go too practical because I know that we have limited time. But then I also have to explain the technical aspect of it. So once you click on this sales schedule, it will give you an option. Let me see if I have the option here. Okay, yes, something like this. So when you click on the sales schedule, it gives you an option like this. You click on the currency of sales that you made, and then you also click on. So if you don't have a template yet, you can click here to download the template, right? And once you have done that, next thing is to upload the file. So once you have uploaded the file, it loads your VAT for the month. It loads your sales for the month, actually. Then after you have done that, you click on continue, that is proceeds here. Then it takes you to purchase this place. So this place ticks off. This particular one ticks off as completed. Now, when you go to your purchases, do the same thing. Sales adjustment, if any. If none, just click on proceed. Then you go to your VAT returns. So once you have input all the figures, it automatically loads to your VAT form. Then this shows your sales, shows your goods sold, shows different items as it pertains to your sales returns for the month. That is your VAT returns. So subsequently, after you have reviewed the correctness of information here, right? After you have reviewed the correct information here, next thing is to look at the declaration of assets, declaration of returns, right? So after that, you tick off this button here, and then you click on submit to conclude your returns. Yes. So, and after that, you log into the final stage. It takes you to the final stage, which is remittance stage. So this is where you generate your payment reference number, and then you make payment as due to the relevant tax authority. So you can decide to choose any of the options here, whether remitter, e-transact, or interswitch for your payment. So that's all on VAT filing. I'll quickly move to the other modules. We have withholding tax, stamp duties, withholding tax, stamp duty, withholding VAT, foreign payments, and the likes, right? So to do this, a second, please. All right. So to do this, navigate the portal, and of course, you select group taxes. This is group taxes here. Once you click on group taxes, a page like this loads up. It shows you returns previously submitted, withholding tax. So now let's assume we want to file for withholding tax, right? All you just have to do is to click on withholding tax. Once you click on the withholding tax, it takes you to a page like this. Then it asks you what is the currency in which you want to file. You click on the currency. So then it asks withholding tax type. Is it dividend, interest, dividend or interest, or other types of withholding tax? Of course, you know that if you click on dividend or interest, there is a possibility that the other party which you are filing this withholding tax on behalf will not see the withholding tax as a credit on their end. Don't forget that this is a final tax, so the person might not be able to use the tax on their own end, right? So it's always good to know the kind of taxes you want to remit and then click others if it is for suppliers. Now, you also have the template in which the FRS require that you upload your withholding tax returns. It's very important that you use this template, because if you use another template, it will keep bringing error message and you will be unable to successfully upload your tax returns. So once you have done that, we move to the next stage of this. So this is what the template looks like: beneficiary's name, TIN, transaction date, service render, transaction amount, blah blah blah, like that. So quickly, step 4. After you have calculated that sheet, you upload it, and once you have uploaded it, you verify the correctness of information on that. So if you look at this sheet now, we have just one item, and the tax amount is, let's say, 349, right? 349,000. So by the time you upload it also, right, you should have withholding tax deducted is 349. So assuming we have 10 items, all the 10 items will be listed here, but this one is just one. And then to tell you the count of items, so we have just one in this case, and the total amount is this, which is equivalent to this. So it's always good to do this check before you click on proceed, right? After you have done that, proceed. Once you have clicked on proceed, it takes you to the payment gateway also, and then you are able to make your tax remittances as are due for withholding tax. So in just a few minutes, we've covered VAT and withholding tax, right? So we go to CIT filing. Now, because CIT filing requires a lot of steps in it, right? I don't usually want to discourage people from filing CIT by themselves, but it's always good to use consultants if you have one, so that you don't end up being stuck or clicking the wrong information. So for CIT returns, same thing, you go to the dashboard, click on taxes due to be showing you there that your CIT return is due. So you click on process, right, or action, any of the two. Now, when you've done that, it shows you something like this. It shows you company income tax, revenue, non-current assets. All these modules, they are clickable. When I mean clickable, that means you can click them to insert the information requested, right? Okay, I think there's someone that is okay. All right, let me go ahead. So we have the non-current assets, we have capital allowances, we have, so all these items, you have to fill them into the tax program. Once you have done that, right, for your assets also, you bring it in, you compute depreciation on it as appropriate under the using the company's rate. Then when you are done with all that, you have something like this. So it shows you the revenue, the cost of sales, the gross profits, is there any other income. So when you have done all these fields and you have completed them, you have your CIT returns generated for you. So you can just proofread it. So currently, I know that there are some issues around balancing charge, for example. There's no module. That module has not been activated on Tax Pro Max yet, right? So there are still some issues around the 100% functionality of some of the fields on Tax Pro Max. But then most of them are active, and then there's a way to go about it, right? Then also, when it comes to submitting your CIT returns, make sure that you check very well that all the taxes align with your tax computation. Don't just go to Tax Pro Max and start putting all the information. You must have done your tax computation first. Coming to Tax Pro Max, load all the information. I think somebody is. All right, thank you. So moving very fast. for tax clearance certificate and application and credit notes. So now, because this feature is available on Tax Pro Max, so can that person be muted? Thank you. So for tax clearance certificate, at the moment, the module is still not very functional on Tax Pro Max. So the alternative for now is to visit the e-service portal, which is also known as ccc.frs.gov.ng, right? So on that ECC portal, you can either apply for TCC, generate your CCC, or even get your payment receipts for taxes, right? So under the e-service portal, you have, once you log in, you have these two options. It shows you tax clearance certificate or print or view receipt. So for tax clearance certificate, you just click on it. It loads a page like this for you, right? And it tells you, okay, tax clearance certificate request page. Press here to request. Once you click there to request, it will either go successfully or tell you an error message that visit the office, right? Or maybe you have a pending tax return that has to be completed. So if you have any liability at all, this tax clearance certificate will not generate for you. But if none, then you are good to go. So let me see. Okay, generating your e-receipt and credit notes. So for e-receipt and credit notes, same process, but instead of clicking tax clearance certificate, you click on print or view receipts. Print or view receipt. Now, when you have done that, it shows you a page like this, right? Tells you what are the payments you have made or credits that you have, including tax credits, if any. So, for example, you can see that this is a credit, and this is a payment for EDT, this is a payment for NIDDEF, this is a payment for VAT. So you can easily tell what type of taxes it is, right? And then you also have a receipt number. I've closed this intentionally. So you have a receipt number, and you can also download it in case you need to make reference to it. You can download it. All right. Now, okay, I think that's like everything on Tax Pro Max. I'll just allow room for questions. I think that was very fast, but I'll allow room for questions. I was able to manage my 37 minutes out of the 40 minutes I was given to me. So let me allow questions now so that we can wrap up. Thank you very much.
Yeah, very, 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 very interesting session. Can we appreciate for a minute? Let's appreciate Mr. Richard Okwala for a session well delivered time.
Well done, sir.
Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you, sir.
We appreciate you, sir.
While we
Oh,
appreciate
thank
you
you,
also,
thank you, sir. We
we
really
like
appreciate
to
this one, sir. Very nice presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much, sir.
okay.
So
While team, we like to recognize
have,
the presence of our business coordinators and various district chairmen and various members here present for this. We thank you for your audience, and we thank you for continuing to join us for this event. So my district coordinator, thank you so much for always being with us. Thank you so much. So you can go ahead.
okay. If you have any questions, can we really signify by a show of hands? Let's raise our hands electronically. If you have any question, you can also type it in the chat box. We'll read it out. But if you want to ask your question personally, you can raise your hand. Okay, I'm seeing Mr. Okwe Sunday, number 1. Jalil Kunle Ibrahim, number 2. Samuel Odebumi, number 3. Opeyemi, number 4. Okay, Obiageli Ashara, 5. Then Philip Smith, number 6. So let's take that 6 in that order first. If we still have time, we'll take more questions. I'm sure we'll learn more from the questions, as he has been able to give us an overview of how Tax Pro Max works. So let's start from Okwe Sunday.
All right. Good evening, all. And thank you, Mr. Richard, for the wonderful section. Like, I really enjoyed every bit of it. Thank you, and may God bless you. And for the organizer of this program also, I want to say a very big thank you. So my question is concerning zero tax, because I know there are some companies, there are some industries that are exempted from filing VAT. Regardless of that, you're still supposed to file, even if it's to file new facts. So I would love to see a walkthrough, to have a walkthrough on how that is done on Tax Pro Max. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Richard, can we have all the questions so that you respond to them at once, maybe batch by batch? Is that okay by you, sir?
Okay. I will have to jot them down so that I
Okay,
will
is it possible, or you want to take them one after the other?
I can just, in case, I can take them one after the other, but it should just be very short. Yeah.
Okay, let's go
Sorry,
then.
technical secretary, sorry, can I suggest that any question people are asking should be short and straight to the point, please, so that you can take them easily, please. They should just ask it short and straight to the point.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll add that we are all professionals. Let's summarize and straight to the point. Let's see all the introductions and greetings. We have a dedicated person that will thank Mr. Richard. Let's just go straight to our question. Introduce yourself and straight to the question. So the next person, that's
okay.
Jelly.
Can you hear me? Good evening.
Yes, we can.
Okay, my name is Jelly Ibrahim, one of Mr. Richard's mentee from the Traffic on 3.0. Thank you very much. My question is, when you were taking us through the withholding tax part, there is a place they put period dates. Please, what dates is there? What date are we going to put in that place? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. So let me quickly answer those two questions. So for the first person that asked question on the fact that some companies are exempt from filing or from charging VAT rather, right? So except for people that have registered on Tax Pro Max before those new, of course, exemptions, many of the new taxpayers that are registering now, it's either you have two things. Either you see that there's no VAT module at all, so you know that means that you don't have any VAT returns to even file at all on your Tax Pro Max. That is one. Number two, for people that now have VAT returns that is showing on their Tax Pro Max, of course, maybe you are in the first year of operation, you don't even know what your revenue is yet or what is going to be at the end of the year, right? It is expected that you should still continue to file new returns, provided you don't have any transaction that is liable to VAT. So after 1 year and you discover that your revenue threshold is below the 25 million naira threshold for VAT, then you can speak to your scheduled officers in the tax offices, right? We have a few people here who can also maybe add to that. You can speak to them, they can find a way to help you to remove or bring down that module so that even though you are not filing, even though you are not having any taxes to remit on VAT, you don't end up being exposed to penalty and interest, or penalty rather, late returns penalty, just because you did not file as at when due. So they can take that module off for you from the back end. But best thing that I would advise is that continue to file your new returns. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to go anywhere to go and file it. So if it's possible, just continue to file it. So for the second question, right? So you are asking that under the withholding tax, what date do you pick? So the reason why they put the date there is because they want to know which period the returns is meant for. So if you are filing for, let's say, October returns now, and we are currently in November, then the date should be the date in which you are filing that return. So let's say, for example, January 1st to 31st of October is where the returns relates to, but the returns is due on the 21st of November. Then the date in which you are filing it itself, let's say I'm filing it on the 18th of November, and that date is the date you click on that aspect. Although there's really no impact of that date, right? As long as you file it as at when due, there's really no impact of the date. But then it also makes you to know the kind of period in which your returns relates to. when you are looking at your tax history by yourself. Right? Hope I answered that. So let me just go to the other questions so that we can maximize our time.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Richard. So, Samuel Odebumi, ask your question, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Richard. I wanted to ask, can you take us a walkthrough of how to file VAT exempt on tax promas? I know there is a lot of back and forth with the FIRS and the likes, but what has been concluded now is not so much clear. Can you just take us through it, please? Thank you.
Okay, so I'm taking a quick stroll to where the VAT is, right? So for VAT exempt on tax pro max, it is not really about how to file it, but there is a schedule that is expected that you should fill. So unfortunately, I don't have the schedule on this system, and even if I have it on this system, there might be some confidential information on it. But what the FIRS has done is that there are some codes. I think 0 means vatable, 1 means 0 rated, 2 means exempt. Once you go to this sales schedule and you click on download the schedule, you will see the code on top of that schedule that tells you what the different items relate to. So when you are filing your returns, you have to make sure that you put the appropriate code. It's always to the far right. You put the appropriate code so that it can tell the FIRS, if not just the FIRS, even when you're computing your taxes, it will help you to determine that, okay, this one is actually exempt sales and this one should be subject to VAT. So it's just the schedule that you need to get correctly. Then for the part of, maybe somebody might want to ask a question on the input VAT aspect, or input VAT on local purchase or purchase import. I guess that's where there were a lot of controversies, right? People will say they can't find the output VAT or the input VAT that was charged on them by suppliers. They can't find it on the tax pro max. So to resolve that, FIRS has just, right, in one of the recent meetings, just mentioned that, okay, you can actually input it from your own end by uploading the actual purchases that you made for the month. So I think that covers your question.
Okay, Opeyemi, please go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Richard. So my question is more of for a new company. Recently I tried to do the registration on the tax pro max, but the registration link is not working. So I wanted to ask, is their registration link still active? That's one question. Then secondly, is it advisable for one to do it himself, or you need to go to a tax consultant to help you do that registration as a new company? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So for the tax pro max, well, I think I also tried to test that function recently and discovered that it's still not working yet. So like I mentioned, it's still a kind of, I'm not speaking for the FIRS, right? So, well, as a consultant and someone that has, of course, worked with a lot of different FIRS team members, the tax pro max portal is actually continuously undergoing upgrades, right? So there's possibility that some features will not work as expected. One of them is the registration on tax pro max. If you want to register as a taxpayer on tax pro max currently, it won't go to the page just be loading on the same thing, right? But so the best thing to do is to reach out to maybe a consultant or to the tax office that's closest to you. They will give you what they call a taxpayer update form, right? After you have, of course, generated your TIN, you use that taxpayer update form to register to get access to tax pro max, and subsequently you can now file your returns on tax pro max. So I know you have another question. I didn't get that other question. What was the second one?
You already answered the other question. Whether it's advisable to do it yourself or to reach out to a consultant.
Okay, fantastic. Yes. So it's always good to either use a consultant, and if you think you can do it by yourself, you just go to the tax office and they don't collect any money. It's free of charge. So go there to get it done also.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Richard. I have a question from the chat box. Is it normal practice for tax authority to ask you to come and defend desk audit of VAT and withholding complainants? You have not been given a copy of their finding. I think he's just saying, is it normal practice for tax authorities for you to invite you to defend an audit, whether VAT or withholding tax has not been, that you have not received a copy of their findings?
That's to me, that is that is a bit strange actually, right? So at least I've worked with the FRS team for a while now, and I can tell for sure that before any meeting is agreed, they usually fix it. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
sorry.
can.
Okay. So I said I've worked with a few number of FRS team, and I can tell for sure that that is very strange. So it's possible that the person asking this question have actually received, maybe the FRS has sent a letter ahead to you, inviting you for, or sending a summary of the reports, audit findings to you, but maybe you didn't get it, right? Sometimes administrative issue, you might not get it. So they might eventually have to invite you to come and defend what, so we call that the invitation reconciliation meeting or the likes, right? So it's very strange. But if you have a situation like that, I think the FRS team are human beings. So don't forget, everybody thinks that the tax audit team want to come and they always, when you hear tax audit, you feel like they want to come and just scatter the company's operation and like, but then that's not the situation. They just want to check what you have actually done as a corporate citizen and a taxpayer. So it's always good for you to reach out to them, call them and discuss, okay, can I understand the basis of me coming, so that by coming to your office will be reasonable, to also be fruitful for both parties, right? So I think that's what you should do. Don't just go there and you don't know what the purpose of going there is. You can just call and then find out why you're going there in the first place.
Okay. Yeah. Next is Philip Imasui. Philip Imasui, ask your question. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Richard. My question is around VAT that organizations withheld from your company. I know it's on that last page. I reached out to somebody and they said, I think on line 190 or so, that you use a negative sign. But when I use a negative sign, it increased the VAT. So I had to just file it like that. I wanted to be you to confirm if it is okay like that.
Okay, so this is line 190 on my screen at the moment, right? You're talking about this withheld VAT.
Yes, the one that was withheld from my own organization.
Okay, yes. So you don't need to put it in negative because the configuration itself is already in the negative. So assuming you are doing if you are doing it on Excel, that is when you need to put it as a negative. But in terms of inputting it here, the configuration of this thing already. So let me give you a rundown. So this VAT payable you are seeing is a combination of some selected modules on some selected phase. So let's take, for example, 150 will be part of it. Let me see. We have tax output. This one in capital letter will be part of it. We have total input in capital letter will be part of it. Then we have the LRP factored into it. Then we now have the VAT payable. But all these other ones, they actually have an input of how they run into the actual tax payable you are making also. So you don't need to put it in negative, just put it in the appropriate amount. It will compute by itself, and then it will deduct as long as the information input is correct. The VAT payable should be correct also.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Godwin Amira, can you ask your question now?
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So my question is, how do we navigate filing for tax for prior years, like 2020, 2021 or so?
Okay, fantastic question. So, and that brings us back to the kind of level of patriotism we have in the country, of course. So if a taxpayer says, oh, I want to file my prior year taxes, and the person just wakes up today and says, I want to file it, the module is not available on Tax Pro Max, except those prior years you are referring to. It was when Tax Pro Max has already been introduced and they are standing there as pending taxes. If that is the case, let's take, for example, this VAT now. When we go into this VAT, we can see that there are two VAT here. So this one that is showing past due, right? For example, is part of your past taxes. If it's CIT returns, so that's how you show past CIT returns. But let's now assume that that past returns is not even showing you as taxes due at all. And you know that it is actually due and you have not filed it and it's pending. You can actually write to the FIRS to help you include the module on Tax Pro Max. You can reach out to the FIRS team. They will do that for you to make your tax returns. But don't forget, in the case of penalty and interest, it will be waiting for you also, just like so that penalty and interest aspect might be waiting for you on Tax Pro Max also. So, but if you have any issues with a module that you can't find on Tax Pro Max, just go to that aspect I mentioned. So let me see if I can quickly take us through that back side. Okay, so this place where we have taxpayer details, this one I'm showing you here. Once you click on it, it shows you the details of your company, and it shows you the details of the tax officer, that is the scheduled officer in charge of your file at the FIRS. So if you will see the phone number there and the name. Pick up the phone number and the name and call them to make inquiries. They'll be glad to help you. And if you need to come to their office, they will let you know. Right. So hope that answers your question for past tax returns.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Richard. Cecilia.
Good evening. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Hello, thank you very much. Sir, the question I want to ask is, in a situation whereby I'm trying to pay a withholding tax on behalf of the company, and the TIN number provided by the company, when I do the schedule and everything, I uploaded it on the tax program and it's showing beneficiary not found. And the companies are insisting that the TIN number is correct. What can one do? Should I just pay it, or I should just leave it for the following month, or we should just? So what can I do concerning that, sir?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. It's a recurrent question I also get from many people. So you have two options, right? If you have or let me say three options. If you have a situation where the TIN is not validating, right? What you should do is, first of all, go to the portal, TIN verification portal. So the FIRS have a website called TIN verification portal.
I don't think I'm going to told you, or I'm not sure. Accidental disclosure. Sometimes the disclosure can.
Okay, so thank you very much for helping to mute that person. So, like I was saying, we have three options. The first option would be to go to the TIN verification portal. So go to that portal. If you type it on Google now,
Please unmute yourself, Richard. Sorry, we have to stop. Please. Okay, fine. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So once you log into that TIN verification portal, you put in the TIN there. Show you the company's details. If it doesn't show you the company details, it means two things. Either the company is not registered on Tax Pro Max yet, even though they have a tax ID, or the company is having maybe double TIN. So I've seen instances where some company have two TIN. So in that case, you ask the company to give you their Tax Pro Max TIN. There is another TIN on Tax Pro Max that all companies have that other TIN. That one is usually longer like this, I think about 20 digits or so. So if they give you that one, it will definitely validate once you put it on your schedule. But all that being said, if it still doesn't work, then your option that the FIRS has put there is to put 0, not O, 0. So when you put 0, what happens is that, let me show you, let me see if I can use this. So once you put 0, you can see, if you look at this screen I'm showing you, under this portion that you wrote note for on March 10, the credit will remain as unposted in your account, pending where you supply the right TIN. So if you put 0 like I've done here, it will show no match. And by the time you make the payment will go successfully. So later, when you now have the correct TIN, or when you have been able to verify the TIN or validate the TIN, you can go back to these tax returns and just click on update TIN. When you do that, it automatically updates the TIN and the person can see it on his own end. As the Supplier can see the taxes you remitted on their behalf. They can see it at your end once you have done that. So, like I've mentioned, I've given you the 3 options. First one is to go to the TIN verification portal to check if the TIN is correct. Second one is to use the tax promax TIN, and then the third one is to put 0. Right? If you put that 0, the tax will pay successfully, and then maybe later you can now upload the correct TIN. But you don't want to keep the money with you, such that you end up being exposed to penalty and interest for not remitting us at the right time. So that answers the question.
Okay, thank you. Babatunde Fakunle, can I ask your question now?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Please, my question is, what about if they made a mistake on the tax promise? I mean, they make a mistake in posting to your account that you are owing certain sum of money, but later on, you now found out that there was a mistake and they couldn't correct it. You write a letter. Up till now, they've not corrected it for my client. So I don't know what to do again. And the client is asking how far. That's my question.
Okay, sorry, I'm not sure I got it clearly. So they made a mistake. Is it the company that is? Is it the company that made the mistake, or I want to just know so that
No, it is the FRS. You know, I mean, there is a particular sum of withholding tax.
Okay.
That they charge you, but later on you talk to them, and I mean,
they charge you like in what sense? I want to just get so that I'll be able to know how to put it in context.
The tax is like there's a particular sum they say you should pay, but you come for the conciliation, all those that.
Okay.
But the initial amount has been debited. But when you now come for the reconciliation, the amount came down. You pay the amount, but the first charge was not corrected. That okay, they have come to reconciliation and they have reduced the tax liability, and the amount was still there, whereas we have cleared it as per the reconciliation that we have made with them. So I don't know.
Okay.
Can I speak to that?
I get that. Okay. So someone wants to take that away.
Yeah. So thank you, the presenter. On that issue of having a revised assessment, what you mean? Probably they do an audit before.
Yes.
They give an assessment and they've raised an assessment number on it. So if that was reviewed or revised further, the FRS we need to remove that from the tax promise and probably issue another one. So if that mistake is not resolved, kindly write to the FRS where you file and get that resolved. And if you're having an issue with that, kindly get across to me while I follow up on that.
Thank you, my chairman.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you can reach out to the chairman. That's the chairman of the district talking, Dr. Bisiri Kolawole.
Okay,
so you
that's
can reach
my
out
chairman.
to him. Thank
you, sir.
So, Obi Chioma.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. Please, my question is how do we assess foreign currency tax deductions that were withheld by customers?
Okay. Sorry, I didn't get that. Foreign currency tax deduction. Hello.
Must be have on tax from.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Can I also speak to that, please?
Yes, although I didn't get the question, but you can go ahead.
Now, she's asking how can they get access to credit notes on foreign domiciliary accounts? I mean, deductions when a customer deducts between that on them from foreign, maybe dollar or euro, whatever.
Okay.
So
No, you can go ahead,
tax promise currently now, tax promise is not programmed for foreign transactions for you to have the access to credit notes or whatever on tax. So that is to be done manually. So kindly get across to the tax office involved and get your access to that, because although there are plans to make that available for various taxpayers, but currently now the issue of foreign domiciliary account is not yet on tax promise.
Okay, thank you. Michael Nwako.
Good day, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I just have 2 questions. One is
just be brief about them, sir.
Okay, it's very brief. when you paid, I had experience of paying for VAT, and like on Saturday last week or Friday, I was able to prepare the schedule in tax promise and paid it on Tuesday, which was 21. After like 2 days or 3 days, even till now, it's showing that the money has not dropped. So what I'm seeing now is the VAT plus the interest accruing onto it. So I became surprised because we have already paid it in the bank. The RRR we paid it in the bank, but now the balance there is still showing the VAT that we worked out, that was generated, and interest on it. So how do we reconcile it? Is it to go to bank to go and tell them to process it, or should I wait that it will now fall in normally? This is number one. Number two, I saw in our my client additional assessment in tax performance, because they were filing last year. They were filing tax exempt. So when they now suddenly during this year, they saw after filing their report, annual report, the federal revenue now put in their own 27.5% of their turnover as additional assessment. So, and they said they will have to come and investigate to know if their transaction was really done on items that were tax exempt. So I wanted to ask, what was the solution to it, so that it doesn't come up tomorrow?
All right. Thank you very much. Let me quickly answer it. And I think if any of the FRS team members are on the call that can also support, then I'll be happy to have them. But for the first question regarding the VAT, right? VAT pay, or let's say tax payment, which you have the evidence of payment, you have the receipt, but then it's not clearing your tax program. So the first question I should actually ask or check with you is that, how was the payment made? Was it through InterSwitch, right? You know that InterSwitch expires the same day. Okay, if it's remitter, then if it's remitter, I will assume that you have the FRS receipt. You have the FRS payment receipt, right? Or just bank payment that you have?
Remitter receipt.
Okay, if you have the remitter receipt, then they would also give you like an FRS payment. That's certified that you have actually paid. So what you should do is that you can reach out to the schedule officer on the particular company, so that the FRS from the back end can help you clear that payment. So it's possible that we are using technology, so there can be technology glitch sometimes, right? Where the payment did not validate against, or where the payment did not validate against the liability that's been created. So they can help you do that by just writing to the FRS office or making a call across, right? They can help you fix that. So for the second one, regarding the tax liability, I think it's not beyond the scope of the FRS rather, to conduct a desk review on such a company where you have revenue, right? Let's say way above, I don't know how much you mentioned, if you mentioned a specific amount, but if let's say the amount is above the revenue threshold to remit VAT, then in that case, I think
above.
FRS has, what do you say? It's above it, right?
It's above, yes.
Exactly. So the company does not have any excuse not to have filed their VAT returns. So if peradventure they now have exempt sales, or let's say zero rated sales, then they might have to just defend that. But if nothing at all, it's expected that every company should actually file their VAT returns on the sales that they made on a monthly basis. So I don't know, from a
can I add to that, sir?
Yeah, you can go ahead, sir.
Yeah, for the second question, as regards that the FRS on their own assess the company on based on from tax promas. Now, when you file, of course, I'm giving this as not an advice, because I'm not permitted to give an advice on this platform. But whenever you file an assessment, returns, FRS has the power to review those assessments, be it on a desk review, tax audit, or tax investigation. So in this case, I don't know whether it's a desk review. So I'm going to assume it's a desk review. Don't forget, currently now the VAT and withholding tax monitoring is ongoing. So if a company, if FRS, if the service feel that you are not paying the enough tax, or they don't have information that those transactions were VAT exempt transaction, they can actually reassess you on what you have filed, haven't filed before, or if a company does not file at all. So when you see that on the tax promise, it's a form of commission to you. You can actually write FRS to confirm the transaction, and probably they will invite you for reconciliation and get that resolved. So it may be in form of a tax audit, like I said, or desk review or tax investigation. So if that is happening, what you need to do is to get across to your tax office where you file, or if it's about monitoring, to get to the state coordination office and get clarification of what happened, so you can get that resolved within a school of time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, my chairman. Yeah, I'll give 1 minute to
Thank you, sir.
Wasiu, and that will be the last question.
Please, yeah, exactly. We have surpassed the time.
Just
please,
1 minute, please.
1 minute, please.
Akintoye Wasiu, quickly ask your question now. We are out
Thank
of
you
time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, good day, everyone. My question goes this way. On tax promise, is there a way we can file criminal affairs for a company that have not started operation, but you need to file criminal affairs because you need a tax plan? That is one. Two, for example, maybe few years they have not been filed, I need to file those previous years. Without the calculation on what's it called, the filing, both the penalty and interest on it. And will it be the same as filing CIT? For example, that we not file CIT for a year, for 3 years, and the penalty and interest are on it. Will it be the same with criminal affairs? Those are my two questions. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you very much. So I don't know if someone wants to take that aspect.
Sorry, I didn't get the question, please.
Okay, so the question is that for statement of affairs, can they file on tax pro max since they are just doing statement of affairs?
A company that yet to commence or that under zero, yes, they can file it because returns are returns. Whether you are exempted from taxes or all that, you need to file returns with FRS. So you need to just ensure that you are enrolled on tax programs. Every company is to register on tax programs. Be that you are not even like even if you are paying tax at 0 rates, you need to be enrolled on tax programs and file all the necessary taxes. So on the issue of system of affairs, you can also file that one on the account, but I'm not sure there's any portal, any link to file a system of affairs. So I'm not sure that they have that information there, but of course, on your normal tax returns, it's for you to now file turnover to be 0, cost to be 0, and other thing, and the way the normal taxpayer does, and probably also send a letter and file that hard copy with the tax office. The fact that you have filed online doesn't preclude you from submitting your physical copy. Most companies get that wrong to say I filed online, I don't need to submit my hard copy. It's also required that once you file on tax programs, you may still submit your returns in accordance with the law. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, my chairman, and distinguished colleagues, members of IGDS, guests from other districts, council members on the call, district executive, chairman, and other executive of other districts. We've once again come to the end of the flagship for the model district, technical session. I'm sure we did not disappoint. It's been an insightful and a good learning